Good morning, everybody. It's beautiful Saturday, and excuse me. So last night I was looking at a bunch of videos um, about, I guess, the end times, and sometimes I will look at those videos and wonder, really, are there end times, or is it that we are coming to a tipping point where good and evil are becoming more pronounced? And it looks like that we are, because before it seemed like evil was going to win. Before it seemed like that we had zero hope in figuring out how to end our suffering. And so now I'm looking at the world through a very different lens. And it means that all of the matrixy type arguments that keep us distracted cease to be important anymore. Now it is about life versus death. And this is not a political thing that I'm pointing out. This is not like abortion versus, pro-life. No, that's the politics. That's already working in the mutations of our society. And you can't talk to mutations. So the whole, abortion or the different satanic rituals that are out there, there's no point in getting upset about them. There's no point in that, because you really have to tap into indefinite life, so that way you're not creating life that you're not ready to take care of, to then force you to make a decision. Should you have 10 kids, or should you have an abortion so you can have a career? The reason why we have these choices is because we are mutated. If you are completely like pro-life, like your whole body, everything would exemplify that. You wouldn't be aging, you wouldn't be mutated, you wouldn't have death in your family, you wouldn't have death anywhere around you that, that's within your genetic line. You'd be your best copy. So it's almost like pointing out some of the, I guess, analogies or examples of what good and evil also represent in the human body. Okay, so you have your taste buds on your tongue. You have the sour taste bud, the salt taste bud, and the sweet taste bud, right? And then there's the spicy, right? That's hot. Well, that's more of like your nerves telling you, okay, that's bad for you, right? But you have too much sweet, you're feeding into the negative energy, and that creates mutations, and that then creates death. And then you feed into the more salty stuff, right? Along with the water and the sourness. Too much sour is bad for you too. But then you have like a lot of salty, and you're drinking water, that feeds into the energy. Okay, so at least your taste buds are letting you know, okay, you're dabbling in too much of the evil. Let's get you into more of the purity, the good, the salt, the nutrients, the minerals type of thing. But you're not going to get nutrients and all that from your taste buds. But at least that is like the first line of defense, letting you know what exactly you're dabbling into. And then the outcome is life or death. So that's why all these arguments with the pro-vax and the anti-vax, GMO versus organic, what else? The Democrats versus the Republicans, all of that's actually just ceases to be important. Because what we're looking at now is death is a mutation. It's based upon malnutrition. We have to take this, if we're going to take this argument, we're going to take Jilly Juice. We can't just play it and say, okay, I'm going to align myself a little bit and try to collaborate with the holistic world. There's no freaking way, because it's still death versus death over there. It's still the allopathic and the holistic working together with the outcome of death. So no, we have to look at that. This is Jilly Juice is about indefinite life. It's about immortality. I mean, I was almost afraid to even say it a while back, because it's so loaded. It's like, it's jarring, right? And then, then you have people telling you, oh no, you're supposed to die. You're supposed to die. So I'm always getting hit with that all the time, right? So it kind of stopped me from speaking out about immortality and how it really is what I'm talking about. Some people would say, so you're talking about immortality, And I'm like, yeah, but why was I ashamed to say that? Because it's so widely not accepted. You know, people who are on a death trajectory don't like the continuous life. And I can't tell you why, because I know they want to live, but somehow their parasites or something, or their whole mentality, their biochemistry, which is so mutated, doesn't accept that, because that's not in their MO unless they truly want to live. And then that's when their actions will then precede them. So yeah, death is a mutation. And so, like you saw, the George Bush passing away. Okay, people thought a lot about him. He had a lot of power. You know, back then people may call them puppets, but these people that are around for about 100 years, they help guide perceptions. Whether it's Trump, whether it's Bush, whether it's Clinton, whether it's Obama, or every other president, they're around to guide perceptions. And their whole life before they become president is to then guide perception. And then their last hurrah is when they are president. Now, yeah, we had a young president like, John F. Kennedy and Obama, but you see them steadily aging. What isn't aging beautiful and grateful? Oh yeah, okay. What isn't aging? Oh yeah, and graceful, not grateful. But yeah, so evil dies, and I'm not saying people who die are evil. No, I don't think people who die are evil, but I think that the mutations is a corruption to the purity. And when death happens for a person, it's because there's so much mutation, so much corruption that the body finally ceases to give life to it anymore. And then in the end, you can see they look gnarled. They look like, death warmed over. I mean, what you look like in death, regardless if you died in an accident or died, from natural killer cells degrading your body, you don't look beautiful when you die. Yes, and George Bush, not George Bush Jr., George Bush Sr., the George Bush way back when before. So so yeah, so aging is not graceful. Aging is just the mutations. All of your mutations is a sign of corruption. You may be a very nice person, but completely corrupt in your cells. Okay, so there are some people that manifest their mutations on a global level, and it turns into legislation that is completely horrific. Like you've seen the genocide, or some of these practices like abortion or whatever, or allowing that to flourish. But each person still has a choice, but not really, because our biochemistry and the brainwashing and the programming really get to them before they actually figure it out. So, but when you think about it, all of your political arguments, whatever they are, they will die with you. So it doesn't even matter if you believe in abortion versus pro-life. It doesn't matter if you believe in pro-vax versus anti-vax. It doesn't matter if you believe GMO versus organic. Oh, GMO is going to kill me. You're already dying anyway. So what's the point of even fighting something that you're already accepting? That's what I'm saying. All these arguments with vaccines and GMO and chemtrails and 5G, you guys are dying already, and you do not accept immortality. I try to ask somebody that's an anti-vaxxer, do you believe in immortality? Crickets. Silence. Oh no, they believe in a slower death. Well, either you believe in life or you believe in death. I mean, there isn't any gray area when it comes to those two things. This is the argument. This is the actual polarized argument that needs to happen. Not this BS polarization arguments that are in the politics, like the anti-vax versus pro-vax. Because you ask an anti-vaxxer, do you believe in immortality? And they'll tell me to go to hell. So you go figure on that. And they're still circulating in all the negative elements. They still take their herbs. They still take their CBD oil. They still will go to the doctor. And they will still take medical advice. Even though they are totally against vaccines, they still follow the system. So where's this life that you're talking about, that you're so against these vaccines that are like, oh, they're killing us, but you're already dying and you don't care? So that's why I'm just like so over the activism. I'm over the activism. And so So now what I was saying now from this point forward is that anybody that does any kind of activism on my page, whatever it is, whether it's pro-vax, anti-vax, GMO, organic, 5G, whatever, I do eventually delete. Now, I haven't said too much about the whole 5G, but then, you know, I mean, there's things about the satanic stuff, right? The Illuminati stuff, whatever. I'm slowly going through all of these arguments and completely doing the kibosh on them. You can't talk to a mutated person and reason with somebody who's that mutated enough to go and commit child sacrifice or human sacrifice or animal sacrifice. You can't talk sense into them. There are people that beat up their friends and family or go and do stuff, you know, to animals and whatever. And they don't think they're bad. So what are you going to do? Make them wrong? No, you have to work on making sure that you do the juice. If you see something, you say something, hold somebody accountable. If you don't see it, then, you know, and you pick and choose your battles. And eventually that person will die. And you hope they don't procreate and carry that crazy mutated genetic line, you know, forward. Good morning, Angela. So, you know, that's my whole point is there's no point in being upset about the satanic stuff. It's not a positive thing, but you can't do anything about it to people who are already mutated doing those types of things. The reason why we're at a major tipping point is because humanity is so malnourished. The reason why you're seeing so much crap come up, and that's where, and the thing with the 5G is either going to love you or it's going to hate you. The chemtrails are going to love you or they're going to hate you, and that's relative to your lifestyle. The vaccines are going to love you or hate you. It doesn't have to be all evil because it's all relative to what you do on a daily basis. And if you're not proactively getting your insides in equilibrium, then no matter what happens out there, whatever argument you take on, you're going to die. So it ceases to be any of importance, your platforms. Because in the end, you really believe in death. So it doesn't matter if you slow it down. It doesn't matter if you believe in stem cell therapy or vaccines or don't believe in vaccines. If you believe in death, then you've lost all credibility. And if that's your whole focus is the afterlife, then you've already lost credibility. You're already mutated. If that's your whole, and I see people who are saying, oh, I'm so focused on the afterlife, you know, and they're practicing all of these keto diets and what is it, the herbs and the pills and the powders and the supplements and all of that. And they're really focused on, they don't really care what happens here on earth. They don't care about their kids. They don't care about their friends and family. All they care about is their 15 minutes of fame here on earth, whatever it is, if it's their little group of people or whether it is like some kind of, I don't know, platform that they have. That's all they care about. So their life is only good for the amount of time that they're allowing themselves to live before they believe that they're going to die, and they will, because that's what their intention is. So finally I had to really focus on this. But here's the thing. We've had to peel away the programming the last 2 years, right? First, we had to figure out all the things that are harming us, right? All the negative elements, because we didn't even know negative versus positive. We didn't even know that. We just knew that this is bad for us, that was bad for us because somebody told us that, right? But we didn't know on a chemical basis, on a chemistry basis, on an immune system basis, the positive and negative elements, and then the laws of the immune system. So once we figure out what those were, okay, so we know that these are negative elements and we should stay away from them, but there's some things that we cannot control. But then we have to look at the laws of the immune system and then what our immune system can do when it's in contact with negative elements, and then what are the positive elements and how much you put the positive elements, and then what's the role of pain, what's the role of healing. That's my husband's alarm. So these are the things that we've been peeling back. Can you turn your alarm off, my darling? Thank you. So these are the programming that we've been peeling back the last 2 years. And finally, it came down to malnutrition is what causes mutations. So we're not even go over all the negative elements that they have been itemizing out there. Every single negative element that they're pointing out, making an argument, is really getting you away from the fact that you're malnourished, right? So we finally figured out malnutrition is the reason why everybody is dying. And it really is life versus death, not this abortion versus Satanism type of thing. And Satanism, it's not that. Forget that. That's another freaking argument. It's another platform. So now, really, are you truly taking care of yourself and stop focusing on all of the things that you can't control? Because you can't control the guy across town doing human sacrifice on a bunch of babies that are already on the grid. You can't control that. But eventually that line will eventually die. They're only doing this during a certain amount of time. If you see something, fine, you go and report it. But if you don't know about it, then what can you do about it? If you can't see it and you don't witness it, then there's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, if you witness something that is against the law, you go and take care of it. So that's, so it's now become clear. Because I asked that question last night about good and evil, or about evil, and I was watching the ghost show, right? And I'm seeing the people on the Ghost Hunters or Ghost whatever. Not Zach Bagans, but his people. They're aging, and they're always, being used, not say a sacrifice, but they're always playing with the negative, dark energy. And you can see some of them are like, whoa, they're aging quickly. And I'm just like, what is this? This is, but do I really need to know? Is it something that I really need to know? Because they're aging rapidly and they're dying doing that stuff, but they're getting their 15 minutes of fame. Some people will do it on TV, others will do it on Facebook or in their religion or their culture or whatever, and then they just pass away, which is probably a good thing, because do you really want to have somebody like that continuously living on this earth? But no, when you pass these things down, but it's going from one mutated person to another mutated person. So what happens if we actually erased all the mutations? What would our future be like? What would the future be like? What would our world be like? But it's going to take time. And they're ramping everything up. So the more mutated you are, the more all the negative elements are going to destroy you. It's just nature. Because you're not doing anything to yourself to make yourself better, whether it's internally or externally. So they're going to be doing, because our society is progressing. We're getting more technologically advanced. They're trying to restructure California and all the points in between. And either you're going to heed the warnings or you're going to succumb fighting. There's no reason to fight. Just know that this is how things are going, and get yourself completely strong. So that way, when they do make the changes, you're not left with a sign as the direct energy weapon comes at you. You're knowing to go move somewhere or whatever, right? So yeah, so either you're going to succumb to the advances of society, or you're going to live indefinitely with the advances of society. It's not moving to a deserted island and living a stress-free life is how you live longer. No, it's knowing how to adapt to your surroundings and still live and thrive and be amazing despite all the negative energy. That's what the key to life is. It's not avoiding, because when you're avoiding nightshades, avoiding vaccines, avoiding cabbage, avoiding this, avoiding that, then you're going to put yourself in a jail. And that's exactly where people live right now. They live in a self-induced jail, whether it's in their body or in their home or in their relationships. They are in a jail and they can't get out because they're not willing to do the work to get out. They would rather bemoan their situation and say life sucks. So here you go. So Kevin, this really is the crux of it all, Kevin Van Rompuy. Okay, it really is that it is death versus life. How we put this in this book, I don't know. I'll leave your creativity, to that as you are taking notes, I'm sure, of what I'm saying. But it truly is death versus life. Literally, not the political side of it, but really death versus life. And then adapting. Remember, it's adapting, and understand that upset of homeostasis will happen, but can you adapt to the changes? And people don't like to change. And if you don't like change, you're not going to survive in the new world, whatever this new world's going to be. You won't. Survival of the fittest. Darwin was right. So chew on that for a minute. All right. Have a great Saturday, guys. Bye.